Hey everybody, it's Kristen again. Hopefully you've all just finished watching my video explaining where the heck I've been for the past 5 months actually. My last video was made March 3rd and it is now July 27th, so almost the beginning of August. So we're running into 5 months that I've been gone. So um, yeah, I didn't realize that. So again, I apologize. As a disclaimer, I have had my surgery. I'm 3 months out, but I wanted to go back to where I left off and share everything that I learned. So for those of you who aren't aware, I am documenting my journey through weight loss surgery. Everything from my very first orientation with my doctor, and all the way through until I don't know when. I don't know when I'm going to stop. But I'm hoping that I can answer a lot of people's questions or fears, and just give my own view of what surgery has been like. So in my last video, I was near the end of the kind of waiting period that insurance makes you go through. My insurance personally only required 3 months. So I was right at the end. I had been, I tested positive for H. pylori, which is something they test for, which is a bacteria that can cause ulcers. If you have this bacteria, there's a potential that you could get an ulcer. And ulcers are bad for anybody, but even worse for bariatric patients. Also, as a little intro for those of you who don't know, I have now gotten vertical sleeve gastrectomy, or the gastric sleeve. So I didn't get gastric bypass. So I was really nervous about the treatment for H. pylori because it is a bacteria, which means you can get rid of it through antibiotics, but it's a really intense 2-week treatment of like 6 pills a day, morning and night. And they're sort of notorious for making people feel sick, like nauseous, vomit, diarrhea. You can get like weird metallic tastes in your mouth. It can be hard to hold down food, and you have to finish the antibiotic treatment to get rid of this H. pylori. And so I was really nervous because I've taken antibiotics as a kid and they made me really sick and I hated it. So in my mind I was like, oh my God, 2 weeks I have to do this. And it actually wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. For the amount of antibiotics I was taking, I think I did really well. And I credit a lot of that to eating well. You know, they really say to stay away from a lot of carbohydrates when you're on antibiotics. Not so much carbohydrates, but just really high sugar stuff, or white rice and white bread, really processed flours and sugars. I also took probiotics. And it's kind of like a weird concept because you're taking the antibiotics, it's killing everything. And then about 2 hours later, you take probiotics, which kind of adds the good bacteria back. And then at the end of the day, you take your antibiotics and it kills everything. And you kind of repeat the cycle. So I don't know how much that had to do with it. I was taking like a large dose of probiotics every day and I didn't have any problems. So I never felt nauseous. I didn't get weird metallic-y taste in my mouth. I stayed really hydrated and just tried to take really good care of myself. And I think that the probiotics and trying to eat really well while I was on them helped a lot. I was taking a probiotic capsule, which had like 35 billion colony units in it, which is how they measure probiotics. And I was also drinking kefir, which is like a probiotic yogurt drink. So I was having that like twice a day. So yeah, the whole treatment went really well. I was really happy. And then 2 weeks later, I was set to have my endoscopy, which is where you get kind of knocked out. They kind of sedate you a little bit. They stick a camera down your throat. And because I had the H. pylori, they were to also take a small biopsy of my stomach lining to see if they'd gotten rid of it. Well, lo and behold, I get through my antibiotic treatment. I'm like, oh my gosh, this was so easy, no big deal. 2 days later, I get strep throat. And guess what they give you when you get strep throat? Antibiotics. So I was on another 10 days of antibiotics. I think I finished like 2 days before my endoscopy. So there was not a bacteria or bacterium left in my body by the end of March. So that was a really big bummer. But I had my endoscopy the end of March, and like the end of March, first week of April. And that was my first time being sedated, getting an IV, like the whole thing. And it went really well. I mean, I wasn't out. Like, I remember feeling the camera kind of go down my throat and wanting to gag, but I was sort of like too relaxed. I was just like, whatever. And it was over like in a flash. Like, it wasn't a big deal or anything. And my surgeon said I did really well. Everything looked really great. She tested my biopsy, and I was free and clear of the H. pylori, which was great. So I didn't have to, I don't know, redo the treatment again. I don't know. But I was just glad to be rid of it. So, yeah, that was the beginning of April. And I saw my surgeon one more time, which is when she gave me my test results. And she said, this is the end. You are all set. We've done everything that insurance requires. You've seen your primary physician and done all of your weigh-ins. We've done all of your testing. We have all of your paperwork. And from this point forward, things are going to move really quickly. And if you watched my last video, I had mentioned that I had been laid off from my job. And I happened to casually mention it to my surgeon. And I said, you know, when it comes to scheduling, I'm pretty open. I don't have a job to give notice to. So you can kind of like squeeze me out a little bit. And she said she would see what she could do. But also warned me that once they submit the paperwork, things were going to move pretty quickly. And I almost didn't believe her. So this was like April 10th. My surgeon's office sent my paperwork to my insurance company. And I was a little hesitant to share with you guys how long it took for my insurance company to come back with an answer, because my sister, who's had the surgery and is 2 years post-op, told me how long her insurance took, which was like 24 hours or 48 hours. It was like a day or 2 days. And they came right back and approved her. And with that in my mind, my insurance took about like probably like a full business week. And like with 4 days in, I was like a basket case. Like, they're not going to approve me and it's going to be awful. And I did all of this for nothing and I didn't lose enough weight and this and that. And sure enough, on that 7th day, they called. And not only did she say, you got approved, but I'm also calling you to schedule your surgery. So, and that was, you know, mid-April. And the surgeon had a space to fit me in. So my surgery was set for May 5th. And that was it. that was the done deal. They set me up with a few appointments. The way that my hospital in particular worked is that you come in, I think like 3 or 4 days before surgery, or maybe a week before surgery, and you do all your paperwork, and they do a quick kind of like EKG on you for like 2 minutes, and they get you all set. So then on your day of surgery, you can kind of just come in, get on the bed, and you don't have to deal with paperwork. So that's how it all went down. It was scary and exciting and scary. My surgeon in particular didn't require me to do like a liquid diet before my surgery. for those of you who watched my past videos, my surgeon had started me on a pre-op diet when I first saw her. So I was on it for like 3 to 4 months, really just eating protein and veggies, and as you can tell from past videos, I struggled with that a lot. And I'll say, before my surgery, I definitely had a lot of last meals, which is a common thing that I've heard other bloggers talk about. And some people call it dead man walking or last meal, but it's a common problem because a lot of people will do these sort of last meals and then gain weight before their surgery, which is not good. And it was real. It happened to me. I had plenty of last meals. I went out to all my favorite places with all my favorite people, and but I didn't feel sad. I definitely felt like it was the last time that I could eat like that, but it didn't make me sad. And spoiler alert, you can eat like that after the surgery. Maybe not in quantity, but if you wanted to, if I wanted to, I could eat whatever I want. So yeah, so after my pylori treatment, everything moved really quickly. Within 3 weeks, I was approved, had my surgery date, and was ready to rock. So I am going to make another video talking about pre-surgery, my surgery, and my first week. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them, and I hope this helped, and I'm glad I'm back.